Okay, so let me start with some examples what has been happening in different other parts of the country also, maybe at experimental level, but which might have some lessons which can be useful for, I mean, polishing these policies which have been proposed. And what I really liked is that there are two two challenges. One is about the fund. How do we get the fund, new money? I always say this is kind of new money, so that that can be used for a new problem, right? So that's one thing. But the other challenge is also how do you reduce the use of the material use, because that is something which is leading to more energy need and more emission and all those. So there are these are the two challenges. And what I really liked in the presentation is that you brought in the circular economy as one of the option for reducing the demand for the material. So you are looking into that, how you raise the fund from the existing use and the prospective use of the material, but also how you can use that as an instrument for managing an alternative solution. So this is something which I think is really good that both the perspectives are presented. What I feel is that I'm just thinking, this is now in terms of materials you were thinking, but this was something was tried out in the context of energy also, how the energy price was changed and how energy efficiency was promoted and how substitution for energy was done within the industry sector through innovation, and that's how the energy was managed better for decarbonization. But the process is not yet complete, neither nationally nor globally. But what the lessons we have learned, right? So one is that unless there is a innovation continuing with these changes in the policies, then in the long run, it will raise the fund, but will not achieve the goal, because maybe it's a small percentage of price increase, so people will be paying for that. So the fund will be there, but unless the fund is used or channelized in the desired direction, then the ultimate goal for decarbonization may not be achieved. So this really needs to be managed very well. I'll give an example why I'm saying this is because there are two examples. One is when, say, for example, from Indian industry's perspective and the Indian policy, which I'm giving, that there was Energy Act or energy policies have been revised many times in India, which has actually led to the energy savings in the industries, because they have innovated processes, they have innovated technologies, they have done multiple things, energy efficiency, so that they have really decoupled their energy use growth from their industrial activity growth. And that has actually brought down India's per capita energy consumption also for a very long time. Since 1990, I would say this has been observed. But if you look into because many of our studies have shown that in all these energy intensive industries, what has happened is that actually input substitution possibility, if you look into, then you will see that energy has been substituted by material. So that is a very interesting development which has happened. So if you see, then you will see that, well, energy saving technologies have been developed, but then they have led to more material use. This is an observed fact from the different industries. So now we are talking of material, so we need to be very careful that how different factor prices are also managed. Otherwise, it will be imbalancing again. So that is one point. So I think focusing on circular economy will be able to balance that to some extent. But you also need to keep in mind what is happening in the energy price and the capital price also. The other thing which I would just say is that there was a national clean coal fund in India. I mean, maybe 10 years back that was done. And like what Karsten said about the levy, so it was kind of a very old style fiscal instrument, which we, in India, it was called CESS, C-E-S-S, right? So coal cess was there. And the coal cess was imposed on the users of or purchaser of coal. So, and the cess by definition, the money raised need to go back to the coal sector so that they can clean up the coal. But if you look into that, sorry, what has been achieved is that a huge fund was raised because the coal price was really going high. And then it has a very steep rise in India. But it meant that the industries or purchaser of coal could pay that price by transferring it on as the product price, etc. But the huge money that was raised, it did not go back to the coal sector. So the cleaning up of coal or the coal industry could not do that because the money was not sent back. But that was invested in many other things, maybe renewable technology development for giving the capex or for water pollution problem solution or many other infrastructure solutions, but did not go back to the coal. So it did not get cleaned up. So if you ask me, as an economist and as a fiscal instrument constitutionally set up in India, it was not done the right thing because the policy was not coordinated well. So it was more driven by raising the fund. So I would say it would be extremely important to, build within these policies how this, a fund is being used. Because very recently, one of the PhD thesis in which I was sitting, they have shown that how the money is finally distributed, that will really show what will be the distributional impact. I have seen what Karsten has shown about the distributional impact, but that is about when the product price changes, how it will be impacting the households. But we also need to see that the overall distributional impact, what mechanism will do it better. So there are some studies which are trying to compare these policies. One study shows that if it is more the cash transfer is given, then that might lead to a better distributional impact. So how that cash transfer can be done? Is it going to be on the tax benefit or say the labor cost benefit? So that's something which needs to be looked into so that the distributional impact can be traced. But what I see as a very positive thing is that this is a very good approach where you look into that you are looking into the source of the problem and then trying to see that which has been due to I would not say market distortion, due to the incompleteness of the market, has not so far been priced, because carbon has never been priced because this was not seen as a positive or negative input or whatever. So this is an incomplete market. So this can complete the market, but it is doing it indirectly. So we need to be very careful that how this can be revenue generated can be distributed. That will be very important. And there needs to be a innovation fund allocation needed so that it really leads to the new innovation that can be the circular economy is one of the innovation, but there may be a couple of more and which can be looked into. So I think this is extremely important. And I do agree that, I mean, such experimentation really helps globally also, so that if there can be, you know, a platform where you compare all these efforts which are happening across the country and then try to see how you can bring them together so that there is a global global uniformity in the price. I'm saying uniformity may not be global price as such because of the global governance issue, but then we can try to see how that can be, like the EU ETS really triggered many interesting examples for many other countries to try their domestic carbon markets, right? In India also, the perform, achieve, and trade started from that. So I think there are many things which are happening in many countries, but we really need to bring them together to see how that can happen. So with these words, I would stop here and really very interested to know how it goes forward.